Hey, friends. Welcome back to the School of Life podcast. Y'all, that hiatus was way too long. But if you've been following me on social media, then you know that was the last hiatus of the School of Life podcast. Unless, of course, something catastrophic happens and I just cannot get to the studio to record. I am beyond excited for season 6. First of all, I celebrated 5 years of a podcaster this past July. Second of all, I refuse to quit on myself. Even when the going gets tough, I continue to show up, I continue to make a way, and this season is proof of that. So, we're back, we're better, we're in a new set, we have a new studio home, and I cannot wait for all the amazing things that will come out of season 6. Not only for me, but for you as well, because if you've been rocking with me, you know life be throwing us some curveballs, but we get through it and we get through it together. So welcome. It's gonna be great. I have a new few things rolling out with this season, and the first one is the seasons will now have themes. This season's theme is the level up. So we're leveling up our friendships, our relationships, our careers, our finances, physical health, mental health, spirituality, everything. We're just going to the next level because we've conquered, the day to day, right? We have the nitty gritty down pack. We know how to fight through the issues, but it's now time to take our lives just one notch up. With that, today's episode, as you saw from the title, is called Girl, Put That Idea in Motion. Now, I want to preface that this is a motivational episode. I'm not going to read you for filth just yet. I may snatch an edge or two, but overall, the tone is very motivational. And this episode is for my girlies who are sitting on 10 million ideas and you're doing nothing. This is for you because why are you wasting the talent that God gave you? I want you to answer the question. Write it down, put it in your journal because we need to talk about it. Now, also, in conjunction with Girl Put Their Idea in Motion, I want to call your attention to episode 12, which is a season 1 episode called Either You Talk About It or You Be About It, where I actually did snatch some edges. So after you listen to this one, go listen to episode 12 because that one is also about just finding or creating the energy to stop doing this and start putting some stuff in motion. All right. This is timely. This is personal. Y'all know I speak from my experience and my own just challenges navigating adulthood. And so this episode is also for me because the ideas have to get put in motion. Y'all know the drill. Grab your note taking tools because School of Life is now in session. So, first of all, let's acknowledge I'm a little bit of a procrastinator. And if you're anything like me, then procrastination equals analysis paralysis equals do nothing. And when we talk about putting the idea in motion, we have to first acknowledge where the issue lies. And for me, my issue is procrastination. So, I'm owning it, I'm acknowledging it. It has been a personal struggle, I would say, for a couple of years now, and I don't really know why. I'm going to continue digging into the root, but I understand that the procrastination is the struggle. Prime example, as you probably know by now, I was hesitant to even talk about wanting to host an in person event for women in Atlanta. Why was I hesitant? I don't know. So I procrastinated for months before even putting a title on the event, finding a location, finding speakers, just did nothing because I got in my head, I was overthinking, and I ended up delaying the planning process all because of my procrastination. It's important for you to understand what's causing you to stand still. So for me, that's the procrastination. As soon as I called it what it was, and I was like, girl, get your itch together because the idea has to get put in motion. Because again, what did I say a few minutes ago? Why are you wasting your God given talent? It's like I had this aha moment like, okay, we have to make some progress. So the first thing I want to call out is what's holding you back? Do you really understand what's holding you back? And I don't want to hear about the economy and your job and all of those things are very hard, don't get me wrong, but we can't continue to use that as our reasoning to not do what we know we're supposed to be doing. So, what's holding you back? And now I want to dive into once you realize what's holding you back, you want to then assign yourself some tasks. So, I know that it was the procrastination for me. I then needed to assemble a team and put together a game plan. Now, pause my own story. If you're not a creative or an entrepreneur, I understand like it is not for everybody, but this advice isn't just for my creative girlies or the girls who want to go into business for themselves. You can apply this same principle across your life no matter what the idea is. You could want to start having you probably have an idea to clean your house every Friday, but you're not doing it because of whatever reason. Like whatever the idea is, I wanted to make sure I drop in there. It doesn't have to be some grand, broad, you're about to host an event for a city and it's about women empowerment. No, it can be as small as, again, cleaning the house on a weekly basis, asking for a raise at work. We're going to talk about that too one of these episodes. Putting yourself out there in the dating world, like whatever the idea is that you're sitting on, that is what the motion needs to be centered around. So, back to my own story. So, the procrastination was the issue. I called it what it was. The action plan was assembling a team, getting off my high knee, and actually putting some work in to make it happen. One thing that I had to do was stop assigning excuses where they didn't belong. I have just like having this season of my life where I'm like, girl, excuses, please. What are those? If you're in a sorority or fraternity, you already know what they are. But they are literally just another reason to be weak or lazy. That's just my own opinion, okay? Don't don't cancel me. But that's what an excuse is to me. Like you are justifying a weakness or some laziness that you don't want to call out. Procrastination is a form of laziness. Now, are there times where I procrastinate and it's probably justified? Maybe I have a really bad headache or maybe I'm sick. Absolutely. But just day to day, not doing the things that I know I need to be doing, thus that's just showing my weakness. Like, am I really cut out for this? Do I want it bad enough? Do I really want to make the impact that I say I do? Or do I just want to talk about it, right? I want to be about the things I talk about. And so it was important for me to call out what it was, make a game plan, and then eliminate the excuses in my life because, child, I have plenty of them. I have plenty. Now, once you get to that place, you got to start acting. So we talked about how I had to put my game plan in place and all the things, but I want to talk about you. It is important that you act now. Like right now. Waiting literally doesn't serve anyone. And if enough time passes, somebody will come along and have a better idea. So, what is it that's stopping you from acting right now? Now, you may be like, girl, I ain't got no money. I don't have a support system. I don't have this. I don't have that. I get it. I get it. I get it. First of all, life is hard. I should have put a caveat. Life is hard. We all are just doing our best. However, I've said it before, the good gets separated from the great in those moments of difficulty. So, yes, it's hard. Yes, the economy sucks. Yes, you could be making more money. Yes, you need a support system. But what do you have right now at your disposal? What people can you lean on? Is it a side hustle that you start? Is it a part time job? Like, there's always a way, right? So, coming with the excuses won't work here because we put in the idea in motion, okay? Me, myself, when it came to the event planning, I had to take small steps. Now, it's all cool to sit here and be like, yes, I had this idea to host an event and I'm going to do this and bring the women together and blah, 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 blah. It sounds so good because, talk is cheap and talk be sounding good. But actually putting a plan of action in place took me realizing, okay, you can do this, girl, but you have to take small steps. And so maybe that's where you start. You take small steps to get where you're trying to go, but it's important to do that now. Also, don't waste your God given talent. I think that's the whole thing with this episode at this point. Don't waste your God given talent making excuses and not acting when you have the means to do something. You may not be able to do everything you want to do, but I'm sure there's something that you can do. And so do it. I want to talk about next what happens when you do take action. I want to share a quote that I read a few weeks ago. Acting on ideas honors the unique gifts we've been given, and not everyone has these gifts, period. When we get to a place where we realize that the talents and the gifts and the things that make you special are not normal, it's like your mindset changes around how you show up. And that has definitely been the case for me these last few months. Like, people have always said, girl, you are just on a different level. Like, your ambition, you be doing almost the most, which I do, but that's because I got dreams and goals and things to achieve. But I really had to understand that for myself. I had to put it in a way that I could digest to say, okay, Jay, this isn't normal. These ideas aren't just your run of the mill. Like, everyone doesn't have the ability. And so, me not honoring that is almost a slap in the face to one, my creator, and two, myself. Like, how dare you be so complacent that you not elevate in the ways that you've been given to elevate? Like, the blueprint is already there because you are the blueprint, right? So when you get to a place where you're trying to figure out how do I change my mindset, you really have to sit and say, these gifts are unique to me. Everyone does not have them. Which brings me back to the point of acting now, because we need you to put the idea in motion right now. What happens when you take action right now? First of all, you build community, right? By taking action, you put yourself out there to, I don't want to say be exposed, but in a sense, because you got to pretty much expose yourself to get the people to buy in, but you build a community. And that is so important with for whatever idea that you may have. Again, it could be as small as you want to clean up your house once a week and you've been procrastinating. When you share that with maybe your sister or your brother or other people in the family, they're not rooting for you. They're checking on you. Girl, you ain't cleaned that house yet. Same thing. I want to have this event. People can hold me accountable. My community can start saying, okay, so what's the date? What's the venue? What speakers have you secured? You naturally attract people who have a shared goal or who just care about your goals. That's the first thing when you take action. You build a community. The second thing is you get out of your own way. And I probably should have put that first because it's my favorite kind of piece of advice to give when I talk about ideas and motivation and ambition. It is so important for us to get out of our own way because, girl, step to the side. I call my imposter syndrome a girl. I'm like, girl, please, you are in the way of my greatness, and I'm gonna need you to step to the side. Same thing with my procrastination, girl. You got to go. You literally have to get yourself out of your own way in order to kind of produce this greatness that you already know is within you. So you build community, you get out of your own way. And then the third thing, which is probably my favorite for real, you change lives. You may not think that the idea that you have will change lives, but it literally will. I vividly remember wanting to start this podcast 6 years ago. I was sitting at my dining room table in Newark, Delaware, and I had just had Sunday dinner with some of my college friends. I had graduated college, but I stayed in Delaware because I worked for the state. And I was having Sunday dinner with my college friends, and I don't know how the conversation got here, but I was like, I'm going to start a podcast. And when I said it, I was like, wait, now these people know I have this idea. They're going to hold me accountable. But they were so excited for me. So it took a year, but I finally started the podcast. And as soon as I started it, I still have the screenshots of the first DMs I got where people were like, oh my God, this is so great. I really needed this. This really helped me. Like, little old me, because of that idea, changed someone's life for the better. And I love that. And that's the same thing that's going to be the case for you. You will have that impact, whether big or small. Actually, impact is not big or small, it's just impact. I'm gonna, yeah, reframe that. When you make an impact, let's not say it's a big impact or a small impact. It's impact because, in the grand scheme of things, changing someone's life is a big deal, right? No matter how small we may think something is. Okay. So you may be thinking, okay, girl, this sounds all good. We're not gonna be procrastinating no more. We're gonna build community, la 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 la, and it's gonna be great. How do you do that? I'm so glad you asked. Y'all know me. I love a 3-step, 5-step, 7-step plan. And this season is no different. So let's get into 3 practical ways you are going to put your idea in motion starting today, considering the things that we just talked about. I have the three M's. I also love a little bit of alliteration. So the first one is a mind map. We're going to mind map. The second one is mini action. The third one is a moment of sharing. Y'all see how I brought it all back around? Step one, write it down and map it out, okay? Take your idea out of your head, take it out of your notes app, take it off the napkin, and write it on a piece of paper. Y'all know what paper is, okay? Because I know we don't use paper as much, but take your idea out of your head and write it on a piece of paper and create a mind map that outlines visually what you see up here. I swear, game changer. I should have brought my mind map to hold up to the camera so you can see. But there's like a web. Y'all know back in elementary school you draw your circle and you got all your little lines. That's what my mind map looks like because it's a million things going on up there. But I promise when I took the idea from here and put it in my little web, it made wanting to achieve these goals seem easier. I never say that achieving anything is easy, but it made it easier to see, and I did not stop mapping until it felt complete. Now, will I revisit it from time to time, add things, take things away? Absolutely. But the vision is on the paper. So, step one, write it down and map it out. Step two, create a very simple 7-day action plan. Now, remember, we talked about procrastination, we talked about excuses, we talked about all the things that are holding us back. We have to take action in small, bite sized steps. A 7-day action plan should be very easy to do, okay? You want to challenge yourself to identify one small action that you can do every day to get you closer to bringing your ideas to reality. Is it reaching out to someone on social media? Is it researching something? Is it sending that one email? Is it asking someone for advice? Is it making a phone call? One action every day for 7 days. Once you do that, you almost get addicted to reaching the goal. I swear, once I started my 7-day action plan with my event planning, I was like, oh, girl, the event is planned in 14 days because I was like hungry to get it done. But I had to take it in small steps, not bite sizes, but same thing. One action every day for 7 days got me a full event plan, a venue, some speakers, a sponsor. I mean, like, for crying out loud, yes, yes, yes. So I challenge you, what is going to be your 7-day action plan? And then step three, share your idea with someone. I just made a TikTok video about how moving in silence does not serve us any purpose. It actually hinders you from moving anywhere. Silence is the enemy of progress because how does moving in silence help you grow your network? How does moving in silence help you attract the people that you want to reach? How does moving in silence help you get to the money? Like, let's be for real. I want to move out loud nowadays. And so I share my ideas. Now, of course, not with everyone. And I'm not saying just blast it to the world. Within reason, you can share socially or whatever you feel is comfortable. But sharing your idea with someone really speaks it into life. And a lot of times when we're just keeping it up here and not talking about it, we are hiding behind the idea. We're not forced to actually act on it because once you tell somebody, especially the right person, they're going to be like, okay, so what's the update on XYZ? So it's important for you to share with someone you trust because it opens the door for not only support but also feedback. Like, feedback is very, very important. So how you going to get there? 3 practical steps. You're going to mind map, mini action, moments of sharing. All right, before we get out of here, y'all know what time it is. Homework. I think that's going to be the homework jingle. I like it. Homework. Take action now, y'all. I think that's the most important piece of homework I can give you. Take action. You have these great ideas. I shared that this season is about leveling up, getting to the next level, going from here to here. And we can't do that if we are keeping the ideas in our head or we're only talking about it and we're not being about it. So take action. As we wrap up, I want to introduce a new segment of the show called Lifelines. brand new, hot off the press, hot off the podcast mic. I felt like Lifelines was fitting because sometimes life throws us a curveball and we need to call in a lifeline, okay? Now, I always share with y'all, I do not proclaim to have all the answers to life. I barely had the answers to get here today on time. So, I am just sharing from my experience. I am sharing from the wisdom that has been poured into me. But this part of the show is your chance to write into me, to ask me questions, to share your stories, to get advice. I mean, whatever you want it to be. Obviously, I'll bet it. But this is your lifeline. Today's lifeline comes from Simone in Los Angeles. She says, "Hey girl, I admire your confidence and how you've built such a strong presence. What advice do you have for women who struggle with self doubt, especially when trying to turn their ideas into reality?" Hey Simone from Los Angeles. Long story short, well, first, thank you for this very nice compliment. I try to be confident because why not? But advice for women who are struggling with self doubt, I would say you have to identify where the doubt is coming from. What is the root of the doubt? When I dealt with imposter syndrome a ton, especially early in my career, I girl had to go to therapy and all the things, not just for the job, but just life. But I had to learn, or I learned that my imposter syndrome came from all of this childhood trauma that I had to unpack in therapy. And so if you are in a place where you're doubting yourself or you're not as confident, it's super important to get to the root of that. Like underneath all of this doubt, what is making me feel this way? And it might be things from your past, it might be things from the present. But if the doubts and or the imposter syndrome is stopping you from acting on your ideas and turning those ideas to reality, you really have to get to them quick and call it what it is, use some tools and resources to address it, and then put that idea in motion because we deserve whatever gifts you have to bring to the world. All right, friends, that wraps up the very first episode of season 6 with the School of Life podcast. Whew, I can breathe because I didn't think I was gonna make it, but I'm so glad I did. It's still so crazy that we're here on YouTube, but I appreciate my YouTube subscribers, my family. I think I'm gonna call y'all the Four Lifers. I think I really have a community name now because Friends was cool, but I'm liking For Lifers. Anyways, I hope you learned something new. I hope you're excited for season 6. I'm back. I'm better. We have lessons to learn. We have some leveling up to do. Anyways, thank you. Keep fighting, keep pushing, keep evolving. I'll talk to you soon.